Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Sandeman Street Podcast, a podcast about Dundee and Dundee United from fans of both clubs. I'm Andrew, and as always, I'm joined by my regular co-host Jack. Jack, I don't know if I should ask, but how are you today?
Apart from the result yesterday, I'm pretty good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Good man. It's just me and you this week, so we will try our best to entertain as best as possible, and I suppose it's probably best to just dive right into it and rip off the band-aid, as they say. So, Jack, tell me your thoughts about yesterday's match.
Obviously, very disappointing. To be 2-0 up, comfortable, and to lose the lead in the end, and to drop 2 points. I never watched the game. I'm sure you're not surprised at all. I've seen the highlights. I wasn't paying for Premier Sports, so I thought I'd just watch the highlights afterwards. And I think, looking at the highlights, United were by far the better team. I think McCracken possibly had the best game he's ever had in his life. It could have been 3-4-5-0 United at some points if McCracken wasn't in goal. But unfortunately, he had one of them games and we weren't able to score more than 2, and ultimately us came back and bit us on the backside. I thought Fata looked really good, looked threatening in the first half. But yeah, Dundee obviously never gave up, and United did. United thought it was in the bag, and it wasn't. And we've switched off near the end. Dundee scored the goal, got its chopped off. Should have been a wake-up call for the team. It wasn't. And then Dundee took advantage and scored 2 goals right at the end. So, very disappointing. I would have took a point. Obviously not in the fashion it happened. But prior to the game, if you listened to last week's episode, I said I thought Dundee were going to win comfortably. So, yeah, a point's a point, but in the circumstances, it feels like a loss.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I was at the match, and you get more, obviously, a better kind of flavour of what's going on rather than watching the highlights, I suppose. But everybody's got their own interpretation of what they see as well when it comes to football. I thought Stephen Presley kind of summed up quite well, in my opinion. Dundee for the first maybe 30-35 minutes were probably played relatively alright. They were probably maybe slightly the better team without creating anything. United had the better of the chances, especially with the boy, I can't remember the boy's name is, the centre half that missed a free head on the box, maybe 10 minutes into the match or something like that. Probably should have scored that. But after that 30-35 minutes into the match, from then on, from pretty much until injury time, they were an absolute shadow of what they've been in the past few months. They really, really, really were poor. I think you've got to give United credit for that. I think United played well, a lot better than what a lot of people thought they could play, especially given that when the team lines dropped an hour and a half before kick-off, every United supporter I've seen in the comments, because I thought I would keep an eye on that for the podcast, was absolutely slaughtering Jim Goodwin's team selection. So he seems to have done something right. Obviously that's then supplemented by the subs as well, but I think United done very well to nullify Dundee's threats, and that's one thing we were speaking about on last week's episode with Martin and Neil, was that how United going to handle Dundee's main attacking outlet with their width. They didn't do that at Tannadice. They did that yesterday at Dens, and they did that very well, and then they then kicked on to play probably up there with one of their best performances of the season. I mean, I'm not probably the best person to say whether or not it was, but judging by what United fans have seen this season, I would probably hazard a guess of saying it's up there with one of the best performances that they've seen. They totally dominated Dundee right through until they switched off twice in injury time and Dundee got out of jail. I can't count the amount of times I've been to Dens through my lifetime and watched United fans lord up and Watch Dundee fans leaving and the Lording It Up and other songs that they're singing, and I've thought to myself, how funny would it be if Dundee managed to get back into this game and they shut right up, and yesterday was that opportunity for me. So as a Dundee supporter, that was very funny. But it's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest, because as funny as it was and as relieved as you are to get out of jail, there is a wee bit of regret, probably, maybe is a good way to use, is a good way to describe it, because I thought Dundee have been very good recently, especially last week against Motherwell. They were good against Hibs, they were good up at Aberdeen, they were really good at Parkhead for the majority of the game in the Scottish Cup, and I think you probably said this on the podcast. I certainly said this to friends and family and whatever, speaking about the match and the lead up to it, is that you've seen this movie 100 times before. Dundee coming into a derby on the back of good form, United not really in good form, and United come into the game and turn Dundee over. Sat at the match on Sunday yesterday thinking exactly that I'd seen this movie 100 times before. Dundee coming into the game on form, as I said, and not turning up and playing as poor as they have played for months and months and months. But thankfully, as opposed to the first derby of the season at Dens when Dundee were meek and just not good enough to get back into the game, they've got something about them now, and they've got quality now to get themselves back into the match. And yeah, they got their goal from Ashe, but I mean, you can kind of come in here as well. The second goal, from United's point of view, is just an absolute disaster. None more so than for Ross Graham, who gives away a very, very cheap free kick. He's panicking. I'll bring you in a second here, Jack, but he's panicking, obviously with minute 30 seconds to go or whatever, with it being 2-1. Gives away a stupid foul, runs away laughing at Ethan Hamilton, laughing at the Dundee players. The ball gets put in the box, and he goes completely unchallenged and puts the ball in his net. And it's just really, really poor from Ross Graham, in my opinion. I don't know what you think on that.
I'd never seen the foul leading up to the free kick. I just seen what happened, unfortunately, at the free kick. I think it's a difficult one because the ball's coming in, the sun's maybe got in his eyes a wee bit. Ashe is behind him. I don't know if he knows that or not. And maybe he feels like he's got a challenge for it. Because if you look at the flight of the ball, the angle of the ball, Ashe is probably potentially getting on the end of that if Graham doesn't. So Graham's got to challenge for it. I think the keeper doesn't help. I think the keeper should maybe come out and challenge for the ball, claim the ball. He doesn't. He's rooted to the spot, and it's took a knock off, obviously, Graham's head, and it's went into the back of the net, and the keeper's rooted to the spot, and it's 2-2. But yeah, I don't know. It was meant to be quite a windy game yesterday, I believe. Obviously, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but could that have affected the flight of the ball and it's thrown him off, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, they definitely got caught in the wind, the ball.
Yeah.
But I just think that after giving away a cheap foul, laughing and joking and everything, go and be your captain, go and be your team's leader, and win that header that wins you the match. Because if United clear their lines, they probably won.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought that was poor.
It was, but obviously you don't know what's happening like in a player's mind at that point in time. I don't know if he's the right guy to be a captain. You mentioned him being captain. I don't think he's the right guy to be captain, to be quite honest. But then I don't think anyone in the team's right to be captain, so it's not really fair for me to say that, really. But yeah, it's disappointing. So
social media certainly, I mean, it's not exactly the best place in the world to judge sensible opinions, but certainly from what I seen last night, United supporters were very chuffed that he is the captain, and I think they would replace him with somebody. You never usually ever see who they'd replace him with. They just say, get rid of him as the captain. There's never any suggestion of who actually should replace him.
Yeah, I honestly don't know who could replace him. I would have said Sybil, but well, as we'll mention later, that's like not going to happen. So yeah, it's like Goodwin obviously sees something in him. I don't know whether it's just because he's a United fan that maybe that'll get him up for the games more and maybe pass that on to his players. But ultimately, it's Goodwin's call, and he'll know best, I guess.
Yeah, well, he certainly trusted him at the beginning of the season to make him captain.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, it wouldn't have been a lot of people's choices, clearly, but there we go. Back to the match, though. You must have been happy to. Obviously, you never watched you never watched the game. Suppose you're probably keeping up to date with it. You've done your research on what the game was like. You've watched the highlights, etc., etc. You must have been happy to hear that. If obviously you take away the disappointment at the end, that the United put together a performance like they did.
Yeah, it's good to hear, but it's a bit too late in the season, to be honest. The season's absolutely over for us. There's still a chance we get relegated. Who knows? Kelly picked up a good win at the weekend. I don't think it'll happen, but you never know. These are just dead rubber games for us now, essentially. And so, if that was earlier on in the season, then you'd be more up for it. But because of where we are in the season now and the way the performance ended up culminating, it was I can't say I'm overly happy because obviously, like I say, it's a dead rubber. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I do understand that. So obviously, I don't think it's mathematically impossible that you can't finish in the top six, but it's obviously, you need to beat your Celtic, beat Rangers at Ibrox. Not going to happen, is it?
Nah, no chance.
No. So yeah, congratulations to Falkirk, because as we were speaking about last week, I mean, Neil said it and I said it as well. Don't think they're the greatest of top six teams ever to play in the Premiership. It's probably what I was trying to say. But look, they're there on merit, and it's a great achievement. League One, Championship, top six, all in a row. Very, very well done to Falkirk. So congratulations to them. As for just to finish off about the game yesterday, Dundee's perspective, they need to learn from that. They've got 2 or 3 hard games coming up now before the split, but they need to learn from that, from derby games, and I think they will. They've shown this season that they've learned, and they've improved all through the season. So hopefully, when they go to Tannadice after the split, they will use that experience and improve from it. But I'll tell you what, Jack. Obviously, it was the first time seeing him yesterday. I was impressed with the boy. You know me with names. I'm going to butcher it, but is it Agui or something? I was impressed. I was impressed with him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I thought he does the job of sitting in front of the midfield or the back three, back four well.
Mm-hmm. He is I believe, a midfield destroyer as such. He is the type of boy that will win the ball back and play simple passes. He's not going to create much, but I have heard that he has come across as a pretty good signing so far.
And just finally, before we move on, what did you make of the penalty? What do you think that's a penalty?
I mean, his arm's out wide, is it? I think it's Ferry making the ball. I think it's Ferry out wide. Is Ferry making the ball? I don't know, but his arm is definitely out. And it does strike his arm, and it's in the box. So, looking at the rules, it's a penalty, I think.
I think from my perspective, it's one of the ones where if you're going by the current climate, it's always going to get given. But it's such a fucking harsh penalty to give, isn't it? He's standing at the corner of the box. His arms are by his side. You could say that, yeah, they are out wide a wee bit, but like when you go to this, is it a natural, is it not natural position for your arms to be in? Your arms are like pinned to your side. That's not natural.
Yeah.
So your arms are going to be out slightly, and he's obviously on the turn. He's on the move. So his arms are going to be out a wee bit more to balance him out.
Mm-hmm.
And it hits his arm, and as you say, is the United player going to get there? So they're going to actually gain the benefit of it, and like, is it taken away from an advantage that United could have by hitting his hand? It's one of the ones where the handball rule has been tinkered and altered and everything so many times. I don't know. Do you make everything a handball, or do you just take the handball rule away completely?
I mean, you
I mean,
can't really do that, can you?
it's such a hard one to nail down and get absolutely definitive, in my opinion.
I think the rule has to be: does the team that handles the ball gain an advantage from it being handled? And then I think that makes the decision pretty clear, in my opinion. Like for that instance, there, did Dundee gain an advantage from handling the ball? And depends if Ferry's getting there or not. If Ferry gets there, yes, it's a handball. If he's not getting there, I don't think it should be.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of them. I certainly wouldn't come on here and rip right into the ref for giving it. It's one of the ones where I think if the ref didn't give it, do you think VAR would get involved?
Potentially.
But maybe not. It's very, very borderline in my opinion. But look, they got it. The boy took his penalty well. So yeah, let's just move on. Basically, next we'll speak about quickly the score predictions from the weekend. Now, somehow I managed to get that right, Jack.
Great call.
So 2-2 it was. I went 2-2. You went for 2-0 Dundee. It finished 2-2. So that now brings me level on points with you again. 22 apiece. So we'll move on to next week, which we'll speak about slightly later on in the podcast. But before we go to that, we'll just cover the rest of the scores from the weekend. So there was 4 games on Saturday. That was Aberdeen 1, Falkirk 1, Celtic 3, Motherwell 1, Hibernian 0, Livingston 0. I don't know if you've managed to catch that one, Jack, but one of the worst decisions I've ever seen in my life was given in that game by the referee.
I've not.
In injury time, Martin Boyle's running into the box, and Mo Silla is trying to catch him. He gets a toe to the ball rolls out for a corner. Actually looked like it maybe then actually hit off Boyle as well, went out for a goal kick. So I mean, it was a really good interception by Mo Silla, and the referee gives a penalty, and honestly it was one of the most clear foot to the ball you'll ever see in your life. I don't know how you never seen it.
I'll give that a watch after this.
Anyway, he gives the penalty, and you're talking within about 40 seconds he was at the monitor giving it disallowing it. It was the quickest VAR check you'll ever see because it was so obviously not a penalty. The standard of some of those refs, my word. The other score from Saturday was Kilmarnock 1, Hearts 0. And on Sunday it was St Mirren 0, Rangers 1, and Dundee 2, Dundee United 2. So, transfer news, Jack. I know that you've got a bit of transfer news regarding the United that you want to speak about.
Yeah, so as I maybe hinted at earlier, Craig Sibbald has signed a pre-contract deal with Falkirk. He's going to be signing a 3-year deal there. And it's something that's been in the works for a while, I think. I believe he still lives through there from his previous time at Falkirk. So it makes sense. A 3-year deal is something that he can't really turn down, especially at his age now. I think he's approaching 30, or he's already at 30. So a 3-year deal is a no-brainer for him. And it gets him to move back. Like he's basically working on his doorstep now, which is good for him. Obviously, it's a loss for United. He's probably our most consistent performer. He may not be the best player on the pitch, but he's someone that gives you a solid 6, 7 every week. That can't be said for a lot of players at United, so I think that will be a loss as a squad player. On the ends, United are rumoured to be signing Lachlan Rose from Newcastle Jets in the A-League. He's a striker. He can also play out on the wing, right wing. He's 26 years old. He was sitting as second top goal scorer in the league prior to the last set of fixtures being played. So that's a good signing. I did see that Dundee had declared their interest in him as well, but he'd already decided to join United before their interest had been declared. So yeah, it's good to get another player in. Could help settle Sapsford with him being the only Aussie here just now. So yeah, it's potentially a good signing, and hopefully the signing goes ahead and he makes a good impact for us.
So I did hear that they were rumoured to sign another Aussie as well. Is that something that you've seen?
Yeah, there was talks about signing a right back who was previously at Utrecht, I believe. I think he's at Melbourne just now. I think he goes by Rollins, his name is. That could be wrong, but yeah, a right back. He's only 21, and he was tipped for big things when he was younger. So if we could bring him in as well, then that's 3 or 4 players from out that way that could be at the club, and I think they've all got a good work ethic. The boys that come from that neck of the woods, and being all few of them from the same area, it could build a good wee a bond out of that, and hopefully they could all click together pretty quickly. So yeah, that would be a potentially good signing for us as well.
It appears that Jim Goodwin's moved his chief scout from the Balkans and Macedonia to Australia.
Yeah, definitely. He's obviously
what
seen that the Macedonia's not working anymore, so let's go Aussie instead.
Babinski and Trapanovsky weren't exactly Ramadani and Mijovsky.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, so we'll move on. This weekend, Dundee travelled to Tynecastle to face league leaders Hearts, who, as we just spoke about a couple of minutes ago, lost at Rugby Park against Kilmarnock on Saturday evening. It's one of the games, Jack, where I think that Dundee will probably get beat, but there's every chance that they can go there and get some sort of result, whether that be even a draw, just to keep the points tally ticking over. I don't think it's out with the realms of possibility that Dundee could win that game on Saturday. I don't think they will, but I think there's every chance they could go to Tynecastle. I don't think Hearts have actually lost at Tynecastle this season, so it's a wee bit mental to say that. But this is a real test of Hearts' mettle now. Every team's within 3 points of them. Celtic are within 2, Rangers within 3, and they're going to be a bag of jaggies after coming back off that result, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. It's not a good result for them. Kelly, as you mentioned previously, they're not a great team, and the pressure's really going to be on Hearts now. So it's definitely a game that I could see Dundee getting something out of. The pressure's going to be there for Hearts. Dundee might be wanting to upset the cart a bit. So yeah, it's a game that I think Dundee can definitely get something from it and potentially even get the 3 points.
Yeah, I do think that Dundee probably won't win that, but it'll be interesting to see, because go 1-0 up early doors, or even keeping them to 0-0 for a large period of the match and taking them into within 15-20 minutes of the 90 at 0-0, you could probably sense that Tynecastle will probably get quite anxious, and it's definitely one where I think any team within decent form going to Tynecastle at the moment would fancy themselves. There's obviously also the possibility that you can go there and get a doing, and there's every possibility that could happen. Hearts are a good team, but it's certainly one that I'm looking forward to on Saturday. I've not been at Tynecastle this season, so I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully that excitement won't turn into leaving early to sit on the bus whilst we're getting a hammer. Also this weekend, United face Celtic, so both Dundee teams playing title chasing teams. Jack, what's your thoughts heading into that one?
Tough game. Celtic are on a really good run just now. They've closed the gap on Hearts, and Matt O'Neill's got them playing pretty decent football. I can't see us getting anything out of it. We obviously got the win against them earlier in the season, but that was under Nonce, and they're a totally different beast under Martin O'Neill than compared to Nonce. I think the players' heads might be down a wee bit, given the circumstances that happened at the derby. Obviously, like I say, it's a dead rubber for us, and it's a must-win game for Celtic, so I can see it doing. If we can keep it close, keep it tight, put pressure on them, we've got a chance, but I don't see it, to be honest. I think Celtic will probably get the win.
I think it's one of the ones this season where United, obviously, as you say, it's a dead rubber. I don't think the players will think that. you might see a bit of a response from them because the manager's going to be at them all week. He didn't look happy after the game on Sunday. So the manager is going to be at them to come out and show something else. So you never know. You might get that reaction. They might want to. They're on TV as well, so they might want to put on a bit of a show for the cameras. But it's going to be a difficult one. Celtic seem to be kind of motoring now. They've had a few decent results. They've went to Ibrox twice in a week and not lost. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky one, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think, like I say, I think Celtic, their pressure's going to be on them, but I think they'll probably thrive off that pressure, and I can see them getting the win, definitely.
So, score predictions, as always, I have put mine down, so I'm keen to hear what you think about the game. So, first of all, what is your score prediction for the United versus Celtic game?
I'm going to go 2-0 Celtic.
Okay, and what about the Hearts versus Dundee game?
Hearts versus Dundee, I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay, so for those games, I have went for 3-1 Celtic and 2-0 Hearts. I think United can score against Celtic. As much as Celtic have improved under Martin O'Neill, they concede goals. And I just think that United can get at them, especially with they looked very dangerous going forward yesterday, especially through boys like Fata. I thought he was excellent yesterday, so there's definitely at least a goal in that game for United, definitely.
Yeah, boys like Trusty and that, I think they can make mistakes, so if United can pounce on the odd mistake, then they have got a chance, but I think there's too much riding on it for Celtic for them to make too many mistakes for us to capitalise on. So, well, I guess we'll see. I think we'll have, like you say, we've got a chance with boys like Fata. He's got a bit of quality about him. He is very hot and cold though, so if he can be hot, that's great. And if he gets a goal, that's also great. But like I say, I think Celtic's probably got a bit too much for us, and I think we might struggle to score a goal.
Okay. So we'll move on. I just wanted to touch on this. Just before we started recording, the Scotland squad dropped for the upcoming friendlies against Japan and Ivory Coast, or Cote d'Ivoire. I think that's how you pronounce it. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this, Jack, so I'll run through them. So first of all, we'll go with the goalkeepers. Scott Bain, Angus Gunn and Liam Kelly. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Scott Bain's the only one of them three that are playing regularly at the moment. Angus Gunn, I think, is the better goalkeeper, personally, but I don't think he's getting any games for Nottingham Forest. So I think you probably play Scott Bain based on he's actually getting game time at the moment. But Scotland isn't strong goalkeeper department-wise. We're pretty weak in that position. So that's probably the best we've got, even though it's not great. It's probably what we have to deal with, unfortunately.
Yeah, I really like Liam Kelly, and I know that if you say this about him, you need to say it about Angus Gunn. I wish he would go away and get a team where he was playing every week, but yeah, he's obviously having quite a decent dough at Rangers, so who am I to tell him what to do? As for the defenders, they are Grant Hanley, Jack Hendry, Dom Hyam, Ross McCrory, Scott McKenna, Nathan Patterson, Anthony Ralston, Andy Robertson, John Suter and Kieran Tierney.
Not really any surprises there.
No, not really.
Everyone you'd expect to be there's there.
Yep, pretty much. Midfielders, Ryan Christie, Lewis Ferguson, Billy Gilmore, Andy Irving, John McGinn, Kenny McLean, Scott McTominay and Lennon Miller.
Yeah, same there. I think boys like Lennon Miller, it's good to see him in the squad. I don't think he's been playing regularly for Udinese, but it's still good to get experience at this level. Despite it being friendlies, I think it's still going to be a good experience for him. So other than that, I think that's still a good midfield.
Yep. And finally, the forwards, Shea Adams, Tommy Conway, Finlay Curtis, Lyndon Dykes and George Hurst.
Finlay Curtis, obviously the surprise inclusion there. If he deserves a chance, why not? He's still a young player, I believe, so if he's good enough, he's old enough, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'm delighted that he's there, to be honest with you, because he's been in good form this season, both for cameo and cameo appearances for Rangers, and since he went out on loan to Kilmarnock. He's kind of a wide forward as well, which is kind of what we are lacking in that squad. Obviously, we've got Ben Gannon Doak, but he is injured at the moment. So it's good to see him in there. So obviously brings something different to the squad. You've got your regulars like Adams and Dykes, and then Hurst and Conway come in and come out. So yeah, it's good to see. So I thought we would just touch on that squad announcement just since it's been made. Obviously we will speak more about that towards when the games are actually being played, and that'll lead us into the summer with the World Cup, where we're hopefully going to do a few things with the podcast regarding that. So yeah, good to have the international break back again. I do quite like that. So I know a lot of people don't, but yeah, I do like going to watch Scotland, and I'll be at Hampden and down in Liverpool for the upcoming games. Jack, we have received our first ever community question. Now, it's something that I've always kind of thought we should do, put things out to the listeners and ask if they've got any questions regarding the two clubs for us. And it's always slipped my mind every time I've ever thought about it, and then we've went to record. But we'll have received one, and it's some person called Pedro.
Classic.
Classic. Some random guy called Pedro. I will read you out because he's went on to a bit of a tangent. So what I'll do is I'll just read you out what he says. There's obviously a question in here for me and a question in here for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So Pedro says, at the start of the season, there were massive differences in expectations for the both clubs. Right now, Dundee have overachieved and United have underachieved. Personally, I think Presley deserves the full backing in the transfer window. Andrew, do you think he deserves a massive backing compared to the start of this season? And where do Dundee need to strengthen? So, for that part of the question, has he massively overachieved? I don't know. I think they've improved as they've got better, but a Dundee, a club that you would be surprised they're in 8th position in the Premier League.
I think what he's trying to go by is because of the expectation you had with Presley was first announced as manager, he's basically all doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And then as the seasons went on, now you've obviously pushed up the table, and now you're sitting in 8th. When you appointed Presley, I don't think you'd have expected 8th at that point in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. He obviously goes on to say, does he deserve massive backing? I think he did get massive backing when you look at this, what he had to what he's got now in terms of squad selection. They've signed a lot of players. Now, Presley was he critical at the beginning when he first came in, or was he offering up advice to the recruitment strategy previously before he came to the club, where he was saying that we need to get to a stage where it's staggered in terms of contracts and stuff, rather than having a bunch of players and they're all out of contract at the same time and they all leave and then you're starting from scratch, which is what Dundee are very, very good at in the past. Staggered at contracts, 2, 3, 1 year deals, loans to supplement that as well. We've obviously got boys like Congreve, Yagan, Scott Wright, who else on loan? There is others, Cotterill. So there is players who are going to leave. If you were to go down to what we have without our loan players, I think obviously Jan Danda is another one. I would be confident that well, I wouldn't say I would be confident, but I would think that out of all of them, Jan Dander is probably one of them players that you're likely to get back as opposed to Congreve, Ugan, etc. I don't think any of them are going to be realistic in getting back in the door. So for what he needs to do it in terms of strengthening, I think he needs to strengthen his defence. We could certainly improve in that aspect. I would personally say that we could go for another goalie. I know that John McCracken has been good in the past couple of games. He can be a good goalkeeper, but he is very inconsistent. I think we can do better. We can do worse as well, so it's one of the ones. It's just really your opinion on him. So we'll soon see what happens in that regard. We'll obviously have to strengthen going forward again with wide players. But no, I have full confidence in this new structure at Dundee, because with what they've signed since they've came in, they have got a lot right in terms of the squad that was put together for this season. You've obviously got David Longwell in the technical manager's role, who works alongside the manager Stephen Presley, and then you've got the recruitment, Gary Piggott, I think his name is, Billy Kirkwood's there as well. So I would imagine that they will have hopefully another few players in mind that will be coming in the summer. And yeah, confident that they'll get more right than they get wrong again. So yeah, back to what Pedro said in his community question. He goes on to say, I also believe that although after yesterday's result it will be extremely hard for Goodwin to come back from this, he says United cannot see out a game with confidence and the players have to take the blame as well. I do feel that he deserves one more transfer window to strengthen his squad that he has built. I think he has been unlucky with his signings compared to last year when he went for Walton and Dalby, etc. I feel like we need, well, he refers to we, so he must be a United supporter. I feel like we need to strengthen the spine of the team and bring some experience. So then he goes on to say, Jack, Goodwin stays. What do you think United need to do to become a consistent top six side?
Sack him. Even if he's staying, just sack him the next day. I think he needs to change formation. I think the 3-5-2, the three at the back, just not working. We've seen that for months and months and months. We've been calling out for it all the time and it's not happened. I think we need a new goalie. Goalie's absolute priority for us. Maynard Brewer's just not it. I think we need to look at our transfer and recruiting. I don't think that was good enough this year. We've signed too many players that are happy to get paid and come along for the ride instead of being leaders. And I think we need to look at more experienced boys. We're signing boys that are 21, 22, 23. They've not got enough experience to push for a top six place. I think we should be looking at boys that are 26 plus, to be perfectly honest. They've got a bit more experience in the game. They'll be a bit more knowledgeable about how to win games, and we don't have that at the moment. So yeah, I think the main priorities for us would be, if Goodwin was to stay, was get him to hopefully change formation. I'd say be a bit more positive, sign a goalie and change our recruitment so we are able to bring in a bit more experienced heads instead of players who are just coming in to hopefully sell on for a profit.
Okay. He then goes on to ask, if the derby was a five-a-side game this season and all time, what would be your teams? Any formations allowed? Now, in a five-a-side game, do you really play formations? I don't know. But what would be your United five-a-side team from this season?
This season, I'm putting... goalie choice is terrible.
Any man safe.
Yeah, basically. Nah, I think I'm going to go Dave Richards. I think, honestly, I know Peter gets slack. I think he's the best goalie we've had this season. So I'm going to put Dave Richards in goal. At the back, let's go. I'm going to do a 2-1-1, let's say. I'm going to go Crestes, and I suppose you can probably say Ross Graham, despite what happened at the derby. In the middle, I'm going to play Sibbald, and up top, I'll go Fata.
Okay. I'll probably say McCracken, Luke Graham, Congreve, Ethan Hamilton, and Ash Hay.
There we go.
And what about your all-time United five-a-side team? Have a think about it.
Right,
I would probably go for Speroni. Oh, Speroni, Kishnesvili, Namzadze, Gavin Ray, Caballero.
I take it we're just going off boys we've seen all time.
Well, you could do that. It's up
Yeah,
to you.
I'll just do that. I'll do that. In goal, I'll go Siegrist. I'll go Andy Robertson, naturally. Let's have Andy Webster.
Very defensive.
Yeah, Andy Robertson's more of a wing back, is he? I'll go centre mid, or was it not midfielder? Let's go Armstrong, Johnny Russell, Chief G. No, can't.
That's six players.
Get rid of Chief G.
Okay. Okay. I think so. Yeah, there you go, Pedro. Hope I've answered your questions as well as you were imagining when you were writing that question down. And if anybody else has any questions they would like to answer, they would like us to answer regarding Dundee and Dundee United, if they could either leave a comment on the YouTube video or just leave a comment under one of our Instagram posts or our Twitter posts. I will go through how to find those at the end of the podcast. They'll also be on screen throughout the video, so just leave a comment or leave a comment on our YouTube video and we will get back to you on those. Futbology challenge, Jack. You're 1 point closer to our target that was set you.
I am. What am I at now? That's the question.
You're on 20 points.
Oh, I'm getting there.
So as you can see on screen now, Jack had a game for the first time in quite a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Martin and I had a game as well, which was the same game. We will cover Jack's game first. It was Dundee United 2, Rangers 2, with Rangers winning 3-2 on penalties in the League Cup final of 2008, Sunday, March the 16th. It was at Hampden with a crowd of 50,019. The managers were Craig Levine and Walter Smith. For the United team lines, it was Lucas Zaluska, Christian Calvinez, Gary Kenneth, Lee Wilkie, Michal Kovacevic, Mark Kerr, Margaro Gomez, Prince Bobbin, Willow Flood, Mark De Vries and Noel Hunt. On the bench, Ewan McLean, Darren Dodds, Sean Dillon, Craig Conway and David Robertson. As for Rangers, they went with Alan McGregor, Kirk Broadfoot, Carlos Cuellar, David Weir, Sasa Papac, Brahim Hemdani, Christian Daly, Chris Burke, Barry Ferguson, Steve Davis and Lee McCulloch. And on the bench, Neil Alexander, Kevin Thompson, Chris Boyd, John Claude Darshville and Stephen Whittaker. The goal scorers were Noel Hunt 34, Chris Boyd 85, Mark De Vries 96 and Chris Boyd on 113. And then obviously penalty shootout then followed that. The match referee was Kenny Clark. Now Jack, usually when I ask you about anything that happened longer than 5 minutes ago, you tell me that you have no idea what happened, but I feel like with this being a cup final and a particularly agonising moment in Dundee United history happening in this match, you might have a bit of an idea about what happened and what your thoughts were during this match.
Yeah, I do kind of remember the match. I think this might have been my first time at Hampden, and conceded 2 late goals to stop you from winning the game. Both, I remember Chris Boyd scoring the goals, and I think, if I'm right in saying, Mark Kerr missed the penalty. The penalties were at the other end of the pitch. They were in front of the Rangers fans, so we'd never got to see them very well. But yeah, I'm almost certain he missed the penalty, and yeah, it was obviously very disappointing. I think United played pretty well that game. Just Chris Boyd was able to do what he done and scored goals. We didn't have an answer for him when he came on, and yeah, obviously very disappointing with my first experience at Hampden. You're obviously wanting to come away with a win, and you probably don't realise how rare it is to get to Hampden. So yeah, it's just one of the games that always will kind of be remembered because of the circumstances in which it happened, and to lose a game on penalties, United do it all the time. So yeah, I do kind of remember it, but it's not one that, obviously I was quite young at the time, so it's not one I remember wholeheartedly, but it is something I do kind of remember.
Well, it's better than usual.
Yeah, that's true.
As for myself and Martin, we both had the same match, and it was very, very recently. Kind of sticking to the derby theme of the weekend. Sunday, March the 16th, 2025. It was Dundee United 2, Dundee 4, a crowd of 13,000, and the managers were Jim Goodwin and Tony Docherty. For United, their starting 11: Jack Walton, Will Ferry, Declan Gallagher, Ross Graham, Ryan Strain, Alan Campbell, Glenn Middleton, Vico Savelge, Lucas Stevenson, Christian Trapanovsky and Sam Dalby. On the bench, Dave Richards, Emmanuel Odebayega, David Babunski, Ross Docherty, Kai Fotheringham, Craig Sibbald, Louis Moult, Rory Payton and Jort van der Sand. For Dundee, Trevor Carson, Aaron Donnelly, Ziad Larkesh, Jordan McGee, Joe Shaughnessy, Shun Adewumi, Lyle Cameron, Josh Mulligan, Mo Silla, Simon Murray and Scott Tiffany. And on the bench, John McCracken, Harrison Sharp, Ryan Astley, Ethan Ingram, Amari Samuels, Cesar Garza, Victor Lopez, Charlie Riley and Finlay Robertson. The scorers were McGee 17, Tiffany 23, Middleton 31, McGee 39, Trapanovsky 49 and Simon Murray on 97. The referee that day was Nick Walsh, and there was a red card for Adeboyega on the 90th minute. So, that was obviously a memorable win for Dundee because it was the first time they had won at Tannadice for a long time. So yeah, brings back a lot of memories, that one, even if it was just that 1 year ago. The SPFL seem to like scheduling in Dundee derbies for around about this time of the year. A lot of them do come up on my Futbology every day. So yeah, that win takes me back to the top of the league, a point ahead of Martin. And Jack, you get a point towards the 25 point mark, which we're set you a target for. So a couple of wins and you're there.
Yeah, not too far away.
Not too far away. But we'll end it there. As I said, if you have any questions that you would like us to answer about Dundee or Dundee United, we have social media platforms. On Twitter, we are at Sandeman ST Pod. On Instagram, we are at the Sandeman Street Pod. And on YouTube, we are at the Sandeman Street Podcast. So follow us, you can leave a comment under some of our posts and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Thank you very much for listening and we hope you have a great weekend. Thanks very much. Bye for now.